a lot of what we're talking about today was finding a language that's not off-putting to other people, because we get very used to our own language. Just like a doctor has a language, a lawyer has a language, a gardener has a language. We need to be able to express this simply to many groups, and I think that's one of the great synergies here, because we all have different constituencies. We can learn from one another how to reach them in a better way through really an open kind of communication.
There was a presence that was speaking to us. As we were speaking into it, it was speaking to us. And it was really telling us that this is a time when we can be more compassionate, that this is a spiritual age that is unfolding, that the Homo spiritualis, the human who is now reaching their spiritual dimension, past the early religious, past the early tribal, past the heavy ideological, to a consciousness that says we can embrace each other and be one with each other. And so it was a very delicious brew.
I think humanity is deeply yearning to meet the challenges of this moment. You know, Carl Jung talked about our inexorable drive to balance. And we're moving out of the probability vector, which we all know is very dangerous. You know, if we don't change our ways in the next 50 years, we'll have, you know, like 200 million environmental refugees. That alone bespeaks immeasurable human suffering. So enough people, there's a critical mass of people who realize that the probability vector is unsustainable and dangerous to the survival of the human race. So we're now moving into the possibility vector, where we are going deep into our hearts, deep into our souls, deep into our conviction, deep into our dedication, our devotion, and taking life more seriously. Trying to live more meaningful lives, whatever that means for any of us. Like I said, that's much bigger than this room, but I do feel that this room and this particular group of people is part of that larger dynamic that I do believe is the only salvation of the human race.
I envision these groups synergizing to a new level of consciousness in many different ways, and a new level of collaboration. We do know that the power of the voice of this collective can reach millions of people, and we know how many people's consciousness has changed because of these people in the room. It's actually awe-inspiring to think about what these people have done in terms of changing consciousness. So this is just the beginning. And so I think that sense of the potential of what we can do together was ignited by this meeting.
Just the coherence amongst the people, and what is clear is everybody has agreed we are in a state of crisis which has been brewing for a long time, and we need to do something now about it. And that doing something is not just the outer action, but it's also the inner action. It's the shifting of consciousness in ourselves, which I think we've all been working on. And how do we shift the consciousness in other people through many different ways? And I think what to me is fascinating about this is just that the coherence that's here. I mean, there's different points of view and everything within it, but just that movement. And it's like, now is the time. Now is the call.
I think our collective intention was we are going to use ourselves together as some sort of vehicle to orchestrate change, and that we have to be careful not to be the final arbiters of what that change is going to be, but that we can, it's almost like we understand that we can use our positions for common good, and that in itself will create dialogue.
During all the discussions what we can do, I thought one of the most important things that we can do is actually establish a declaration about the necessity of understanding life from a different perspective, and that if we collectively put our weight behind this new definition or declaration, then this is an opportunity to expand that belief system to a very large population almost immediately.
We need to practice speaking and writing with a unified voice that articulates our message clearly and presents a show of solidarity within our own movement.
The beauty of what was in that room is that you had a chance to hear from people who have been investing their lives in very real ways for decades. It's actually, one of the fun things about that is it really is like coming home.
I think if we can, out of this group, create one identity, that actually encompasses the identity of everyone in this group, but is more than theirs. And if we can shift our personal identities to that one identity, then this could be one of the most powerful groups in the world.